YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy APFC back again for another video today. Today I'm going to be discussing Olympiakos versus Arsenal, but more so discussing what Arteta has said in his pre-match press conference. Now, the Europa League has generally speaking been a tournament where perhaps in the group stage, but some of the earlier stages in the knockout rounds, that we are looking to play a bit of youth and to play, give some other players a bit of a run in the team, and ultimately see how they react. But from what it seems like, it looks like Arteta is looking to take the Europa League quite seriously, as he has hinted that there will not be many players rested for this game. He's said that basically Arsenal in the last 2.5 weeks has only played one game, and that was against Newcastle United, where we got a 4-0 win. And the big question is, can Arsenal win the Europa League? Now, in other seasons, particularly last season, I genuinely believed that that was going to be our opportunity to do it. It wasn't the easiest run in. We had Napoli, we had Valencia, and ultimately, we came up in the final against Chelsea and were pretty much disgraceful that day. But I genuinely believed having Unai Emery as the Europa League specialist, we were going to do it, and that's how we were going to get back in the Champions League. Things have pretty much gone downhill since then, although we have seen a minor resurgence recently, with a new manager, new mentality, and seen a lot of improved performances from some of the average players that we have had at the club this season. Now, I'm going to go through some of the things that Arteta has said in the pre-match press conference. So, what I like that he said, he's pretty much said that he does not want players to hide. Now, I'm going to go through this, is that, let's see what he says here. He says, in respects to, I think he was asked a question in regards to, putting these young players in these situations. He said, it is part of the process. You don't know until you expose them. They can have the best intention, but they need to go to a stadium like here. And when they make a mistake or a bad decision, have the courage to try again and play again. I want to see that in my players, whether they are 17 or 35. That's what I expect from them. If they keep trying, they have my full support. If they hide after that, I don't like it. What I've seen up to now, every time they play on that field, they are responding really well. He also then pointed out that Arsenal, as I said before, have played once in the last 2.5 weeks. But basically what he's saying is that he is looking to play a mix of senior players, but also throw a few young players into the mix as well. Now I'll quickly go through some players that sort of are unavailable in the moment. Mesut Ozil being one, as apparently his wife is expecting his first child. And there's been a lot of talk about Lucas Torreira not being able to play, although they have suggested that if he recovers from the illness that he has, he might be flown in late to play the game. But honestly, I probably can't see that happening. So at the end of the day, I think that he'll probably end up staying home and will not play part of this game. Interesting talking points. Mari is now into the first team. He is looking like he will at least be a part of the squad, the matchday squad. Will he start the game? I am probably going to lean with yes. I'm going to do a preview for the starting 11 shortly and another video. So I will go into that at a later date. But yeah, I mean, just from basically with Ozil not being available and Torreira not being available, it looks like he's going to mix things up a little bit. Be very interested to see who he's going to play as attacking midfielder. As I said, I will go into that in another video. Now, talking about Olympiakos have been in the Champions League this season. They finished third in Group B, and they only managed 4 points from 6 games. I think they had Tottenham, they had Red Star Belgrade. Can't remember the other team that was in their group, but I think it was a relatively decent side. I think it was one of the top sides in Europe. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Right now, they are top of the Greek Super League. They've had a very good season, and it's not going to be an easy game. We know that with Olympiakos away from home, they're not exactly the strongest side, but playing them at home is a completely different kettle of fish. Some of our previous results that we've had against Olympiakos, is that we beat him last 3-0 in the Champions League away from home. That was, I think, to actually qualify. I think Giroud may have scored a couple. We needed to win by over 2 goals, and we ended up just getting through. But because before that, in that season, we also lost to them at home 3-2. Away from home, interestingly enough, this is the interesting part here, is that when we've played at Olympiakos, apart from that 3-0 win, which was in 2015, our two performances before were 2-1 loss to Olympiakos away from home, and a season before that, a 3-1 loss against Olympiakos away from home, which really sort of sums up what they're capable of doing in front of their own fans. Top goal scorer this year, Yusuf El Harabi. He has been one of the standout players in the Greek Super League this year. I'm pretty sure he is top goal scorer at the moment. He scored 3 goals in the Champions League as well. So he is a player that is very capable, of playing at not the highest level, but playing at a level, and these are the sort of occasions that he will really look to make the step up. Yes, he has played in the Champions League this year, which you can argue is a bigger step up than the Europa League, but it is a knockout game. At the end of the day, whatever you think of the position that Arsenal are in right now, Arsenal are a big club, and he will be seeing this as an excellent opportunity to be able to show himself on one of the biggest stages. With Olympiakos, they've had Sudani, who is out at least till August. He has an cruciate ligament injury. And they're missing Daniel Podence and Yassine Mariah, who both of them are basically gone because Daniel Podence went to Wolves and Yassine Mariah went to Kasimpa, I've got here. I'm not exactly sure where that is, but he has gone there as well. Regarding team news for us, obviously I mentioned before that Torreira unlikely is going to make the trip. Ozil is definitely not. But we still have Tierney, Cedric Suarez, and Callum Chambers all still out. Reece Nelson is also still out with a hamstring injury, although I think he came back into the squad recently. Pablo Mari, I think, will be taken. Whether he starts or not is a completely different story. And I just like what Arteta, going back to sort of what I was saying about Arteta, is like, I like how he is looking to be ruthless with this competition. I think, generally speaking, if you look at the two, I think Arteta really does have his eyes on the top 4 or the top 5 now, so to speak. But if you look at some of the teams that are in this competition, let's have a look here. So some of the best teams that I've seen is that in this competition, our biggest challenges is that Inter Milan, I probably think, is the favourite. I've watched a little bit of Inter this year. They have slipped a little bit down the table in Serie A, although it's very close. They are now third. I thought they performed quite well in the Champions League. Can't remember who they played in the last game, which they ended up slipping up, but I think they were unlucky. I think any other sort of season they would have gone through, just things didn't necessarily go their way. They got players like Christian Eriksen, Romelu Lukaku, they got Ashley Young, Sanchez, Kondrava that plays in the midfield. Who else do they have? Who do they have at the back? Just can't think off the top of my head right now. They got Diego Godin, that's the one I was thinking of. Diego Godin, a very experienced Champions League player. So I think they're the favourites, and they'll likely go through because they play Ludogorets. And the other one being Ajax, who dropped out of the Champions League this year. Been a relatively challenging season, particularly in European competitions, losing, obviously, Frankie de Jong, losing Matthias de Ligt, and they're going to lose Hakim Ziyech at the end of the season, although he will still be playing in the Europa League. They played Getafe, which I think will be quite a good game, to be fair. These are two sides that are both doing very well in their respective leagues, particularly Getafe. And the other two that I'm thinking are actually really going to be a problem for this season is Wolves is one. And I don't think you can rule Wolves out of being a definite threat in this competition. And why I say that is that Wolves have a habit of overachieving and punching above their weight. They have a habit of being able to beat some of the biggest sides and hold some of the biggest sides, particularly away from home. They play Espanyol. I actually think that Espanyol's a decent side, but they will end up going through. Espanyol hasn't had the greatest of seasons. I'm pretty sure they are in the bottom 3 in the La Liga at the moment, so not exactly in good form. Roma's the other one, although I do think we are stronger than Roma at the moment. They play Ghent. tomorrow as well, same time as Arsenal. Um, but those are pretty much the four. I think there's been some more challenging teams in other seasons. I thought Napoli was probably the one I thought last season that we're going to win it. We ended up knocking them out. I genuinely believe that once we knocked out Napoli, we were going to go on and win it. Obviously, Chelsea being one, and United being the other team that is going to be challenging. I'm not as worried about United as they were about Chelsea. They play Club Bruges. They're very inconsistent with their form this year, Man United. They've been very good against some of the bigger sides. Against some of the smaller sides, they've sort of failed to get motivated. Um, so I guess where does that leave us? I think we have a very good opportunity there. I'm just looking at some of the other sides that are in it. Maybe Sevilla, maybe Benfica, but Porto. But as a club at our size and the wages that we're paying players and the sort of pedigree that we have, particularly going forward, but also as much as we've improved defensively, I genuinely believe that this is a big opportunity for us to be able to take the competition and to ultimately qualify for Champions League football at the end of the day. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have time for today, guys. I just wanted to do a quick chat exactly what Arteta is saying. I will be doing another video shortly on what was it? God, I just had a mind blank there. Just a lineup that I think Arteta is going to start, and I will do my lineup as well. But yeah, that's basically all I have time for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the game, and I'll chat to you guys soon.